Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
Welcome in to a live edition of Feedback Friday here on the Purple Daily YouTube channel. Happy, at least, entrance into the 4th of July weekend here. We've got you guys covered every single day this weekend. We've got some more historical pie charts lined up. Some sort of therapy sessions that we, I guess, thought were going to be therapy sessions. They turned out to just be like triggered raging about some Vikings games gone awry in the past. But yeah, thanks for hanging out with us here on this Feedback Friday. We go live around just a little bit after 10 o'clock every Friday on the Purple Daily YouTube channel, and then live on the Score North YouTube channel just a little bit after 11 o'clock. And this show is presented by our friends over at TCL. They have award-winning TVs for any budget, any space. Got 2 of them in the Mackey household, all with stunning picture quality. TCL makes more than just TVs. They offer mobile products, audio devices, home appliances. TCL brings you joy and simplicity through innovative technology. You can learn more at TCL.com. Are you guys ready for a little Vikings feedback here? We love these shows, man. Yeah. Now we got the comments mixed in here on the screen, too, in addition.
I'm being mocked in the
that's
comments.
Nothing new, yeah.
I'm being mocked. Somebody immediately said, Judd, you are muted, which was not true. I immediately looked, and I was just being trolled.
You were ruffling your newspaper during the count. I saw the.
I got my
could
paper
tell
right here.
the paper was being ruffled, and
we should do a ranking of like the things Judd does to make noise at the beginning of recordings.
I was singing along to the theme song too.
So singing along.
Yep.
I would say creaky chair is another one that happens.
Little humming.
Well, that's singing, right?
Yeah, I think that goes in the singing.
But I didn't start. But I was just being trolled, and I was led to believe I was muted, and it wasn't true.
Or the my classic is the Judd, the sip, the.
Yep.
That's a good one.
It's the Morning Joe.
Yeah.
I don't know how my morning coffee is not sponsored. It's the Morning Joe. Morning Judd, Morning Joe, caffeine fueled.
Yeah, we need to get you a morning Judd. Would you guys buy Morning Judd coffee if we started like just selling like Morning Judd coffee beans?
Purple Daily Morning Judd coffee.
So, all right, let's start with Feedback Friday here. You guys can always hit us up. We stockpile throughout the week your comments, your questions, concerns, critiques, whatever it may be. And we try to get to as many as we can. You can also hit us up throughout the show here in the comment section on the Purple Daily YouTube channel. So this is from Thomas Chambers. It's a little lengthy, so I'll try to get through it here. But it's kind of about what he views as a worst case scenario. I don't know that I would view this as a bad thing, but this is how I think sometimes as Vikings fans, it's easy to kind of twist logic into a pretzel, right? But so Thomas says, first off, love the show. Watch you guys almost every day during work. Discovered you guys following the win over the Colts last year. By the way, it's kind of fun. We like to hear, because Judd and I have been doing a radio show or a podcast together for almost a decade. And there are some, like Justin in Rochester was on Write That Down this week. And he used to listen to you do videos at like Star Tribune and me doing radio on a different radio station. So it's kind of fun to hear when people jumped on board. Did you find us after the Colts game? Did you find us like 5 years ago when we were on the radio?
About us? Like, hey, these guys are new. Never heard of them before, which is a possibility.
Who are these idiots? So he says, I want to talk about a worst case scenario for the Vikings this year, which would be Kirk Cousins goes off this season and carries the team to the NFC Championship game, and then they lose. Why would this be so bad? Because if Cousins goes off this year, there's no way the team will be able to re-sign him to run it back next year. They already owe him $28.5 in dead cap money if he plays well enough to get us that far. I guarantee some team will give him like a 3-year deal for $40+ million a year. You got Jefferson and Darrisaw coming up for extensions. The Vikings won't be able to afford a competitive deal if Cousins hits the market after playing really, really well, right?
Yep.
So even though Cousins says he loves Minnesota, we all know he isn't going to turn down another $80+ million guaranteed contract. We'd be stuck with an end of the first round pick, and we'd be too far away to trade up for one of the top quarterbacks. So, I mean, okay, but like if Kirk Cousins plays the best year of his career and the Vikings go to the NFC Championship game, I don't think that's bad. Like, it's bad in that they didn't win the Super Bowl, and that's the ultimate goal around here, right? But I don't know that would be a crushing thing. I don't know if I agree with Thomas's logic here.
It's an interesting thought, though, because I get where he is coming from, and there does become a price point where probably just, and I know the cap in this league is pretty damn big, but still, from a Jefferson standpoint and the guys they're going to have to extend. So I get the point, but I also think that if you were to tell the Vikings right now, like if you were to tell Kevin O'Connell that this current incarnation is going to, including Kirk, of course, is going to get you to the conference championship game, he's not going to say, "Oh no." So again,
what are we going to do after? Okay.
So just to be extremely clear here. In fact, this is a great example from Sports Dad here. This is a champagne problem.
There you go.
This is a problem. You can't lose on this one. Okay. So if you go, I would prefer, I'm not going to turn down a trip to a conference championship game because quite frankly, that also means that Kirk Cousins in a playoff environment has now done something he has never done before. So I see the point, and it's sort of a very intriguing point, but I'm also not going to turn down a season in which you are hypothetically going to the conference championship game.
But there's also another thing on the contract. So Darrisaw and Jefferson, you could actually wait for the real big money to hit the books until 2024 into like 2025 for Darrisaw. So and you can always structure Cousins' contract. Listen to us right now. Now we're trying to figure out how do you keep him, right? But let's explore the premise here. Let's entertain the premise. If he goes off and he throws for 5,000 yards and 40 touchdowns, it's the second year in the system. He's got Jordan Addison as another weapon. It's just like crazy career season for Kirk. And you said, all right. Let's do it. Let's do a 3-year contract. That $28.5 million in sort of dead money that you've kicked the can down the road on, you just kind of lump it all in addition to like the $125 million and $80 million guaranteed, and you smooth it out with more void years. You would just keep doing what you've been doing with him, which is pay him market value, spread it out with some void years, and kick the can down the road and sort of worry about it in 2 years, right? Like there would be ways for Rob Brzezinski and Kwesi to make that happen. So I think if you decide that he is so good and still in such great shape in his mid-30s that, man, you got to bring this guy back, you can find a way to do it. Does it make it a little harder in a couple years when he's making 40 and Jefferson's making 35 and Darrisaw's making 25 and Hawkinson's making 18? Like,
right.
You better be drafting well and hitting on some 4th and 5th round picks that can rise up. But you do it. You have like your cornerbacks don't make any money right now outside of Byron Murphy, and he doesn't really make top money. So it is a champagne problem. We finally agree on
it's a good problem.
A champagne problem here.
And you know what? For once, if you make the conference title game, how about this? And I know it's going to sound really, really weird. You win it. Yeah. How about for once you win the damn thing and go to a Super Bowl?
I don't think any Vikings fan could be upset if you told them, hey, there's a guarantee you're making it to the NFC title game, no matter what the contract situation is with Kirk or the future. You take that every single time. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
No, yeah. If someone said conference championship game and then like the result is unknown, I'd rather have that than like he's saying you get to the conference championship game and suffer another devastating defeat. Right. Is it worth it? Right. You know, got to give yourself a chip and a chair though in the National Football League.
Yeah.
Right. LOH says, or what is this? IOH says, I have a feeling this is our year. Could probably say that for about 45 of the Vikings' 60 some odd historical seasons.
Actually,
all right.
He'll be right.
He will be right eventually. Victorious Washington chimes in. I've been a faithful listener of Score North for the past year and a half. Also, as a Vikings fan since the early 2000s, I've been consuming Purple Daily on YouTube. Thank you, Victorious Washington. Genuinely grateful for the work you guys do. Keyshawn Johnson recently made waves with his omission of Justin Jefferson from his top 5 wide receiver list. I feel this is part of an ongoing trend of us never getting the respect we feel we deserve, which is reasonable. But when does it get to be unreasonable? I saw that too. Was that just a mistake?
I hope so. It was pretty egregious.
Do you guys think that Keyshawn and look, I mean, this is a gross omission. So I'm not trying to defend him, but you guys think he really pays attention a lot? Like among like the I think he just asked to put a list, and my guess is he takes 5 guys and doesn't like if we do a list like that, we're like, are we leaving somebody out? Go back and look at the stats and the metrics. I think Keyshawn just lists 5 guys. I don't think he pays attention.
Yeah. His radio show in the morning, by the way, just got nuked. It'll happen sometime in the next month.
Who's going to be on that show now? Do we know?
Maybe the 3 of us.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Maybe they just simulcast Purple Daily.
Well, that would be one thing.
Simulcast
that show would be hell. Talk about the Lakers, the Knicks. Don't talk about baseball and
the Jets, and the Mets.
The Jets, yeah, exactly.
And the Lakers sometimes, but more like the Knicks and the Jets and the East Coast teams.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, his top 5 wide receivers were Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, Jamar Chase, Stephon Diggs, AJ Brown. Those were his top 5 guys from one.
That has to be just a mistake.
Yeah,
or he's trying to get cute and tricky or
whatever.
On the respect thing, I will say this. Because I do hear this from a lot of Vikings fans. They're like, no one respects the Vikings. At this point, the Vikings need to go and grab respect. Go earn respect. When you finish with 13 wins but get outscored and then bounced in the first round of the playoffs, why would anyone respect you? So I've never been a Vikings deserve. I'm gonna put my face paint on and yell to the clouds like the Vikings deserve respect. The Vikings, we saw those lists of the Vikings have won, I think, the 3rd or 4th most division championships in NFL history. Every other team in the top 10 or 12 has won a Super Bowl or 5 Super Bowls or 4 Super Bowls, and they have none. So at this point, they need to go earn respect. So I don't get too worked up about stuff like this. I don't know about you guys.
Jefferson gets it. So this is a rare slight, actually. He gets a ton of respect. So I don't think when it comes to Jefferson, that's a problem. As a team, you're exactly right. If you're the Vikings deserve more respect, okay, then you know what? Win playoff games. Because that's how you get it.
Yep.
Not regular season, it's playoffs.
Alec Higley, how much time do you think KOC and Kwesi are going to get? What's their runway?
Well, Kwesi's a 4-year contract, and he's 1 year in, which was an interestingly short-term deal. But I think it's pretty long. The Wilfs are patient. They're not Pollad checked out, so they're definitely a different breed, but they're pretty damn patient. I mean, Rick Spielman was hired to be the guy who was Childress's right-handed man in May of 2006. He was promoted to GM after an atrocious year in 2011 or so, and then stayed around till a couple of years ago. So I think that it's a pretty long leash. Zim got one. The 2018 debacle, I think ordinarily, and we talked about this at the time, Phil, would have put a guy like Zim on the hot seat at 19. They go back to the playoffs, and then he's got 2 bad years. So I think that the leash here for both Kevin and Kwesi is pretty long.
It's all depending on the certain situations, because I could see a scenario where KOC remains and Kwesi is let go. What if these draft picks continue to miss here? What if Lewis Cine is a bust? What if Jordan Addison isn't up to speed? What if all these guys that they've drafted, if he accumulates enough resume there, if those guys aren't up to par, but KOC's winning 8 to 10 games and still milking a good top 5 relevant offense, I could actually see a situation where that plays out. But I think in general, they're going to get a solid 4 to 5 years like most regimes.
Yeah, right now, if you just polled the fans, the outside opinion, I think KOC's approval rating is higher than Kwesi's. But internally, they might have a different thought or a viewpoint on that. But you're right. If Cine turns out to be a bust, and I hate to put this out there because he hasn't played a game yet. He also hasn't practiced yet. If Jordan Addison's a bust, then it's oh, okay. So, but yeah, on the Zimmer point real quick, Zimmer got a long runway. He had an 8-year runway. His worst season was 7 wins. So if you're constantly in the hunt and your train wreck seasons are still 7-win seasons and you're kind of fighting and you're scrapping, now if all of a sudden they dip and they win 5 games, now you have to take a look and say, okay, why is that happening and how quickly can we bounce back? Because the Wilfs do not want a 4 and 5 win dumpster fire on their hands ever, right?
Right. But they are big fans of continuity if they can get that. And I will say, from the Wilfs to the person who has season tickets in the top row of US Bank Stadium, the defining thing here, quarterback. The defining thing of this regime, is no question about it, is going to be, and it's not Kirk, but do they find that QB? Kwesi will be allowed a lot of swings and misses on draft picks if ultimately the quarterback works out.
Yep. Sure. Let's see here. Ryan Keel says, if Jordan Love is the worst quarterback in the NFL and the Packers get the number 1 pick and get Caleb Williams, do you think there is a hot take? Or is this do you think it's a hot take that this could happen, or is it an actual possibility? I don't think I can take another Hall of Fame quarterback in Green Bay. I don't think Matt LaFleur, that roster's, there's a chance they could be a 6-win team, but I think you need to be like a 2-win team to get Caleb Williams. Yep. I don't know if I see that.
I think that there's a few teams that are going to actively tank. Like the Bears set a very nice template for the modern day screw it. Like, I think that you will see teams as the regular season approaches, those dumpster fire attempts like the Buccaneers. I think you will see them attempt to trade some productive players just to make sure that they don't win. So I don't think the Packers can luck their way into being a 2 or 3-win team and get that top pick. So I wouldn't be concerned about it.
God, it would just be classic situation though of them having 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks, and maybe they suffer catastrophic injuries and they all of a sudden wind up with the number 1 pick, and here comes Caleb Williams for the next 20 years, the next Green Bay Packer great. So it would be hilarious. I saw that too from a listener. That's when I said, like, oh, the Packers gonna be bad this year. It's like, well, if they're really bad, they're gonna get the number 1 pick. Like, oh crap, I also don't really want that to happen.
Yeah, they're not. It's not. The Packers aren't going to get. I think the worry here is that like Jordan Love becomes great, but I don't know. I feel like they might have moved off Rodgers earlier because he was such a pain in the ass. It wasn't like he just became a pain in the ass. He was a pain in the ass 2 years ago too. All right, Tim Hamill checking in here from the West Coast Purple Daily operations of the Leadership Cabinet. Well, he said he's loving the historical pie charts this week. I have a question for you guys after watching the Minneapolis Miracle game. Is it more fun to root for an all-time offense like the 98 offense or an all-time defense? Which the 2017 defense wasn't an all-time defense, but it was the best defense team.
Sure.
So he said previously I would say offense every day, but seeing Drew Brees struggle, watching Kendricks bar, Harry flying around, listening to how loud the crowd is on every defensive down. What do you guys get more out of, watching a top-end defense or a top-end offense?
I love defense, and like the defense in the 70s was, a huge part of why that team went to and unfortunately didn't win 4 Super Bowls. That being said, 98, nothing will beat that. Like it's coming from a guy that absolutely thinks good defense is fun to watch. There is nothing more fun to watch than a high-flying circus, Randy Moss driven, ball is in the air, offensive aerial show. Nothing.
Yeah.
Sorry. So like it's probably a little bit of a cliched answer, but I'm going to go with, if you have the 98 offense, like that is why Vikings there, to go back to our discussions previously, a lot of Vikings fans were established from the fact of what? That offense.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like, well, I really enjoyed the defense too, or like 2017. And I would guess now Baltimore's run to the Super Bowl in the early 2000s certainly was principally because of that defense. But I don't know if you had a ton of Ravens fans who look back and say it was that defense that, like, the Super Bowl run might have. But I'm sorry, 98 was as special as it possibly gets.
That Ravens team, if you're a fan of that Ravens team in 2000, can you really say, I know that you're happy that your team won the Super Bowl, but it was like watching a constipated football team every week. It's like,
it was Dilfer. It's like,
yeah, like it's like watching Wisconsin basketball, right? All right, congratulations. Your team got to the Sweet 16 again and snuck into the Final Four. But is this really fun to watch? Bunch of farm boys running off screens and...
Hey, they're from Prior Lake. What are you talking about? They're from Lakeville.
I didn't say which state they were farm boys.
I think what was so cool about the peak Zimmer defense, because I've never really experienced a peak defense like that. I remember the Williams Wall, and of course Jared Allen, Ray Edwards, Everson Griff. Like, there's been a lot of good pass rushes that even I've seen pre-Zimmer. But when Zimmer's defense was on that field in 2017, and he also who set the third down record for percentage on that defense too, it was a pretty crazy feeling to know, like, hey, they're not going to march down and score. Like that was a pretty cool luxury to have, because typically the Vikings are known for high flying offenses like 98 and whatnot. But when an opposing team was on the field, you're going to shut them down. That was a pretty rare feeling to have as a Vikings fan.
Yeah. We have a few more here, but I think we should pause here for a random Viking of the week. We didn't do it yesterday because we just did the historical pie chart. And so let's get to the random Viking of the week here. And this whole shebang today, Feedback Friday, Random Viking Week, presented by our friends at Surly with that Before I Die glorious. Look at that.
Wait for it. Coming on the screen. If you're watching this, if you're not, we'll talk about it. But look at that
beautiful beer,
you
that
know
lager.
What? Do you prefer this mug, this ugly old mug, or would you prefer this in your mug? Let's say tonight, because Surly Brewing has perfected the art of being in the PD family. And yes, we've experienced pain. Yes, we've experienced trials. But you know what? We have one goal, and our friends with Surly are on board, and that is Before I Die. And it's such a big goal that Surly has brewed a beer specially for that, now available in 12 packs. In fact, I was in my liquor store last night, saw a 12er of Before I Die. Training camp is not here yet, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't get in shape for football season with some Before I Die.
Let's go. Get on in there. If you haven't visited the tap room before, it is, I almost feel like you've got, like your Mount Rushmore of Minnesota landscapes, right? You got like the Mall of America, Declan won't say this, but like the bridge in Duluth, you got all this. I think the Surly Beer Hall is like in that.
Oh, it's great.
For sure.
Outstanding.
Also, our friends at EcoFun provide some amazing fun toys. And for the YouTube audience, we'll show you some of these. Look at this drone footage of all these fun, amazing. You got electric bikes. You've got all sorts of motorcycles. You've got golf carts, ATVs. So if you're just looking to get into something fun for these summer months, stop into EcoFun and tell them, by the way, that Purple Daily and or Mackey and Judd sent you. 2 stores to shop at: Forest Lake off I-35 north of Minneapolis, St. Paul, and 35W south in Burnsville off County 42. And I should mention, too, electric bikes right now are at least 10% off their retail prices and 50% off their dealer freight charges. You can save over $700 on higher-end Yamaha electric bikes. So get on in to EcoFun and snoop around EcoFunMotorsports.com, EcoFunMotorsports.com. And if you do, make sure you tell them that we sent you, so we can show them the value of this amazing audience.
All right, so Random Viking of the Week. Hey, because we have YouTube comment section, I'm going to ask the two of you to unhide the comment section so you can't see the comments coming in.
To unhide it or to hide it?
Or to hide
it. Well, no, let's unhide it. Let's get some help.
What do you want to do? You want to unhide it or hide it?
Want you guys to hide it, because I don't want.
Is this an open book test?
In your hand.
All right,
and I don't know if the audience gets it. Should I pop it on the screen first, or should I let you guys?
Wow.
What do you want to do here?
There's a very good chance the audience will.
But they can cheat. The audience can cheat. They can just Google stuff.
That's true.
Okay. Well, then don't pop it on the screen.
Right.
I'm just saying. Okay.
That's a good call.
Okay. I am now on the side of the screen that says who is in my room, so I'm not cheating.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right, let's do this here.
So we get up to 3 incorrect guesses each. We should explain this. Up to 3 incorrect guesses each. Judd has a 54 to 27 to 8 lead on us. Declan with 27, me with 8. Losers out. So Declan is giving the clues this week. Last week, Judd correctly guessed Darius Raynaud. It's been about 3.5 months since old Macadac has won here.
Yeah, but you're on a hot streak on the generic random.
Generic?
Generic. I mean, it's not the Vikings. It's Twins. It's Wolves. You know what?
You're saying Michael Kadyr's generic? Well,
yeah, it's generic. All right, let's go.
All right, here we go.
All right,
we gotta go.
This Random Viking of the Week only played in 53 NFL games. I guess only. He played in 53 NFL games.
No, that's not very many.
Yeah.
It's not very many.
This Random Viking of the Week was a day 2 draft pick.
That's interesting. Like in what era?
And
wasn't there previously only 2 days of the draft?
Yeah.
Maybe okay. Just
back in it was Saturday, Sunday.
okay. Can I ask that question? Is it day 2 in the modern era of the draft?
This was the modern era. I'm pretty sure.
Pretty sure. Okay, so I think we know. All right, so he's thinking it's okay.
So this guy was a bust. This is a disappointment. This player flamed out.
Can I take a guess?
Sure.
Oh, can I ask you one more question? Have we said this player's name this week?
I'm not going to answer that question.
Is it Tyrell Johnson?
Ding, 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 ding,
Let's
ding,
go,
ding,
dude.
ding,
Let's
ding,
go.
ding.
This is a bunch of. Oh no! Somebody pop this for me.
Oh, come on.
I need this.
He's back.
Oh my God.
He's back. Mack-a-dack in the
He saw
house.
right through
Tyrell
you.
Johnson.
He
Wow.
saw right through you. All
I'm
right.
sorry to spoil your clues like that, but
Yeah.
wow, dude.
Yeah, you guys were doing pie charts, and actually you were naming kind of a lot of players, and I wrote down Tyrell Johnson. I wanted to try to squeeze this in without trying to get like giving it away too much, but you guys have a lot of tweets from 2011, 2010 ripping Tyrell Johnson.
Yeah,
it
he was
wasn't
not
good.
a good player.
Yeah,
He's
he
a
was-
super nice guy. Super nice guy.
He was the Vikings' first pick in that draft because they did not have a first round pick.
Judd tweeted on August 8th, 2012. I like Harrison Smith's style. He won't be a passive safety like Tyrell Johnson
Yeah.
was. This guy likes to play football.
Well, and that's early. Like that. See, that is sports dad, like identifying someone who's special quickly.
Mackey said on September 1st, 2011, Tyrell Johnson, your career started in 2008. Feel free to show up anytime.
Wow, that's biting. Very
December
biting.
20th, 2009, Mackey
boy.
tweets, Medeo Williams and Tyrell Johnson really don't add much value to the Vikings defense these days. Need to step up.
There's accusations on the comments right now from Calden Smith of
that I
Bill
Googled.
using Google. And
Do you guys
would-
think Declan, do you think I Googled that one or no?
No, you
Well, why don't you
sniffed
ask
that
me?
out
I
pretty
compete
well.
against you. I'd
That
like
was
to.
pretty
You know
good.
what I did? I sniffed that play out like his successor, Harrison Smith, sniffed plays out. That's what happened right
Oh,
there.
here we go. Here's a good one from Judd. One more on this Tyrell Johnson front. September 25th, 2011, Judd tweeted, the Vikings employed dime look for the third time today on 3rd and 6, and I have yet to see Tyrell Johnson on defense today. That's not a bad thing.
Wow.
The
God,
disrespect.
what an ass I was back then. I'm glad I'm a much nicer guy now.
People are saying that I might have used Chat GPT. Maybe not Google Phil. Chat GPT is much faster. So the last one I got correct was back in like early March, Dwayne Rudd. And since then, you guys have each had one. Declan's had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 correct, and Judd has had like 8 correct. So
I believe Tyrell Johnson might have been I think he was a day 2 pick. Was he a day 2 pick back in the days when it was first round only on Saturday and then the rest of the draft was Sunday?
it was right on the edge. And then when I asked Declan that question and he paused, I kind of thought feels like
Sniffed it
about
out.
10,
Yeah, no,
about
you
10
did a good
years
job.
ago.
I
they
give
made
you a
that
lot
change,
of credit.
right?
I give you a lot of credit. I'm disappointed. I'm mad. I'm upset. I'm hurt. But I give you a lot of credit.
So it was the 08 draft. He was a 2nd round pick.
Yeah, that's before.
Yep, so 26th, 27th.
That's before Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yeah, the marathon. So they did the first round, and then they did all the rest the next.
Yeah, I want to say they
Day
did
or
the first
something.
round on Saturday and then like 2 through 7 on Sunday.
Granted, the Vikings had Adrian Peterson at the time, but the very next pick in the draft after Tyrell Johnson was Matt Forte of the Bears.
Good career, good
Deshaun
solid.
Jackson went next.
Very
Matt
solid
Rice.
career.
Solid
But
career.
the Vikings'
Bennett.
first round pick in that draft was essentially Jared Allen. So
Correct.
that was still a great.
Yep. Though they maneuvered their assets correctly there. Let's do a few more feedbacks here. Steve G says, hello, Score North. I'm a bit surprised with the year 2 in the offense commentary, and you guys sort of glossing over the rather significant shift from 11 to 12 personnel. Steve, I don't think we've glossed over that. We have a guy, Judd Zulgad, who's been
Oh no!
step by step through OTAs.
I think we were hammering that before anyone else was.
And it's not just 12 personnel.
Oh no!
We could see some 22 personnel. CJ Ham. We could 21 personnel. Obviously, you could see some 23 personnel with two running backs. And the numbers that you hear when you hear like 11 or 12 or 23, the first number is the running backs, the second number is the tight ends, and then it's math reduced from 5 for the wide receiver. So it's like 11 personnel would be one running back, one tight end, and then there's 3 remaining to get up to 5, which means 3 receivers.
And I feel like we hit that first.
We've been
on that.
And Steve talking about how, I'll just read the rest of this here. So year 1 was all about KOC going 3 wide receiver sets, the 11 personnel, which is a Ram style offense, correct? And now he's doing a 180, and it's more of a Shanahan-esque, heavier with the extra running back, extra tight ends.
Yes.
In my opinion, it's KOC looking back and realizing his year 1 strategy was off a little bit. The self-reflection and major pivot in strategy shows very impressive leadership and something many coaches don't do well.
I'm going to disagree a little bit with that. I think O'Connell, and again, we have talked about this a lot. So Steve, like, pay attention because we're on this. Like, nobody loves football like this show. I think the difference is also this, though. And yes, this is not to take away anything from Kevin O'Connell, but he didn't have the personnel to do what he wants to do. Like, keep in mind, they opened training camp 2022 with Hawkinson not here, and Oliver was obtained in March. So, like, if you want to say, well, you know, he basically now has the personnel in place to do this. Like, that's a big part of the step.
Yep, but I also think the year 1 offensive strategy wasn't necessarily off last year because. Well, they were the best offense in the fourth quarter in the NFL, so maybe you could say it was off in that they weren't consistent enough throughout the entire 60 minutes. The second quarter, third quarter kind of lag. So we can split hairs on that. But Jacob Tobin says, I have a question for you guys. Which NFL team do you hate the most? I know this sounds like a weird question, but different generations of Vikings fans hate different teams from my experience. I'm 22. The team I despise the most is the Saints. However, my dad, who's in his 50s, hates the Bears. Love the show. Have a good weekend.
Okay, so his dad hates the Bears because when his dad was a kid,
the 80s and
the Bears got good. Well, it's weird because if you go back and look, there was a period where the Packers and Bears both just sucked. But then the Bears popped up around the time that his dad was probably about 16 or so. And so that makes perfect sense. And that is a team that with that Buddy Ryan defense. Now that was a defense that kicked your ass. So, but I don't know, dude. I don't know that I have a team that I currently hate.
I mean, obviously, like Packers. I don't feel vitriol and hate toward a lot of other teams. But I would say in terms of like lately, I mean, the Packers are always going to be in that mix. But lately, I would say in terms of a non-division rival, I think of it more as like, who's your rival? Like, who are you sort of fixated on right now? And I think the Eagles are probably pretty high on that list for what happened 5 years ago, and them like they hit the reset button and then got better than you quicker. Like they're kind of sitting over there. Maybe the Giants for what they did in the playoffs last year.
San Fran
bounced you a few years ago.
But I don't really hate a team, so I'm probably a bad guy to ask.
I don't really care for the Patriots. Especially nowadays, too. All of a sudden, Mac Jones, the quarterback, and now I don't see as many Patriots fans, flocking and moving all around. Kind of weird how that works out once you get off the greatest quarterback of all time. I don't really appreciate.
You really care for them?
No.
You know who I don't really care for? The Cardinals. Not a big fan. Yeah, upgrade your facilities. Why are you feeding?
Yeah, well, that's players? A different thing. Like the Texans.
They'll fix the leak in your bathroom.
I hate the Texans. They're boring as hell. Like the Texans,
Texans are weird.
They're weird. And they got a bad name. I mean, they were the Houston Oilers, the perfect bleeping name with a logo that was
the Minneapolis Minnesotans. Yeah, football.
The Houston Texans. Yeah, I do hate them.
The Wisconsin Green Bays.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It is weird. All right. That's all we got for this live Feedback Friday here on Purple Daily. A shout out to our friends at Federated. So Federated's been around for over 100 years, helping business owners maximize their level of success through risk management tools and resources. It's like having a great offensive line for your business. And Federated, when it comes to like how they measure themselves, what are their pillars? Equity, integrity, teamwork, and respect. And they apply those pillars, that corporate culture, to their partnerships as well. And you can find out if your business meshes with the businesses the industries that they specialize in at federatedinsurance.com, where it's our business to protect yours. Yeah, keep sending us stuff throughout the week. Every single week we get to as many as we can, and maybe we might have to make a Random Viking of the Week show up on Fridays once in a while.
Now that you won, let's definitely do that.
I perform better in front of a live audience.
Yeah, exactly right. So since you won in 2 clues, let's just do it on Fridays.
I think the crowd had Judd nervous. I think Judd was
I don't think you changed from the comment section. That's what I think. I think I was on.
Oh, you think a commenter had that answer before I did? Is that what you think?
Comment section. I think Tyrell Johnson jumped on himself and said, "That's me. I only played in 53 games. I was a bust."
I love our audience, but nobody was. I'm Bat Masterson here, man. Nobody was drawn quicker than me today.
Oh, Bat Masterson, that's a throwback. Brad Childress once sang that theme song at the Combine.
I'm sure that went over well.
I'm not joking. No, it went over like the fart in church that you would expect. No one knew what the hell he was talking about.
Amazing. If you could, please click the subscribe button and the like button on this Purple Daily YouTube channel and video. And then on the audio side, if you could give us a 5-star rating and a positive review on Apple Podcasts. And Spotify has a rating system too. It just helps us spread the word about this awesome community that you guys are helping us build every day here. Purple Daily, daily Vikings entertainment. We're going to be live on the Score North YouTube channel here shortly after 11 o'clock a.m. Central Time. See you guys.